which is a brutal way to go out, you know?
Wow. There are some high highs and low lows certainly for this weekend for several of our players. But that brings us to our last series of the day. And Nalguidan is making his first appearance on broadcast this season. We hadn't seen two players throughout weeks 1 through 3. He was one of them. Nalguidan, and the other player was Rami, who will be playing tomorrow against ETC as well. The matches are happening in Division B. And Nalguidan has a pretty straightforward lineup. He's got Mage, Druid, and Zoo Warlock. Kind of like a good Dex lineup, but no Priest. And ETC is playing the Priest, Demon Hunter, Druid, Mage. And he has his Priest band. But it's not just any Mage. It's Turtle Mage.
Whew. Yeah. Turtle Mage. I'm trying to see how it's going to line up in this matchup in particular against Nalguidan. He's actually got some pretty aggressive decks. I feel like this is probably one of the harder lineups for Turtle Mage to beat. The only thing missing would be like a Rogue for Nalguidan to have like one of the... no, because his Druid is actually Spell Druid. If that was like a Malagos Druid, and then if his Mage was like some type of aggressive stealth rogue, he'd be golden. But we shall see. And just a funny note, not relevant to the series at all, but Rami, the other player besides Nalguidan we haven't seen on broadcast, literally the latest he could possibly appear for the first time on the Grandmasters broadcast, he plays in the last match on Sunday after not making it to a top 8 in the Swizz. Literally the latest possible. I just noticed that he could appear on a broadcast.
That's actually pretty funny, yeah.
Yeah.
That not just because, we haven't really seen some players really rise up to the standards that I think are set for themselves, right? Like you kind of mentioned the win rate for some of these players are in like the 30s, right? And that's just not going to cut it in Grandmasters long term. You're going to be you're a losing player at that point, and you need to perform better. But I know that Rami's actually pretty excited for Grandmasters. He's actually kind of talking about his practice regularly. He's streaming a lot. He's playing in other things. And it's just, his enthusiasm is just met with like the very, very last possible broadcast match where he can appear on. He ends up showing up. And it's like, dang, man, this guy's so happy to be a Grandmaster. And it's just funny that he didn't get to show up till now.
Yeah.
But that's coming up tomorrow.
Yep.
And we're going to get Nalguidan up here against ETC. I kind of thought that the Mage here from Nalguidan might get targeted, but I don't know how Turtle Mage does against the Tempo Mage these days. I feel like Tempo Mage is actually good against it because of how much damage from hand that they can just do or generate. Yeah. But am I wrong there, TJ?
It depends on the list, but Nalguidan is playing Archmage Antonidas, which gives him like that over the top. You have to kill the Archmage Antonidas, which could interrupt your combo. Like it's not often that you have Blizzard still left in your deck at that point to where you can do your combo while Blizzarding instead of Frost Novaing. So, and there's a lot of things that could go horribly, horribly wrong. Solarian Prime, burn generated from Evocation, from Mana Cyclone. So the one thing that you do have going for you is you have a lot of time because they're not really setting up like this minion pressure. You out tempo the Tempo Mage because you have more early game minions that can fight for board. The problem becomes when you start talking about the damage from hand, the burn, the Archmage Antonidas. So still can be a pretty tough matchup. Zoo can also be a very tough matchup. And but Bomb Warrior is one of the toughest, especially the Galakron Bomb Warrior, because you just have consistent damage over the course of the game. And ETC is looks like he's playing a little bit of a greedier version of it because he has Bone Wraith, Mana Saber, Blue Pistol Bully, and the War Mage at the top end. So like it's a little bit more expensive. So not surprised to see the Warrior ban. Also, you can't like ban and Conquest using like one specific deck in its matchup. So you have to ban holistically, looking at all your matchups. So even if one of the decks in Nalguidan's lineup might be better specifically against Turtle Mage, Warrior as a whole is better against ETC's lineup. So that's
okay, that makes sense. Yeah, I like it. So we are getting ready for the final series of the day, and then just like that, we'll be done with day number 2, and then after tomorrow, we're gonna have everybody's first games in. But ETC actually has an interesting kind of storyline going into this round robin stages, as we were alerted a couple weeks ago that ETC plans on retiring as a Grandmaster after the season, no matter what, largely because he's picked up new responsibility by starting his own construction company. So if anything, it's not really, I mean, it's bittersweet, right? Like on the one hand, you're really happy for ETC, but we're also sad to see him go, as he is definitely one of the more fun players to watch, I think, in Grandmasters. One, because you're never really sure what he's going to be able to do, or like he's had some crazy games, both for better or for worse. And also just because I love talking to him, and I just love what he represents, which is like the family man who had a dream to be a pro gamer still, in his 40s, has 2 beautiful children, and it's just great to see him, kind of reference that a lot, because most people who compete, especially in our industry, TJ, are like, teenagers or young 20s. So it's a really interesting change of pace, and I know that I'll probably bring it up multiple times, but I'm going to miss him. I'm going to miss him a lot.
And even like on his way out, what he's representing, he says he wants to fight to make it to playoffs or not get relegated, just because he wants to fight for the little guy, the people that are trying to qualify for Grandmasters. He wants to open up 4 spots instead of just getting relegated and having it be 3 spots.
Right. Exactly.
He wants the newcomers to come in and have a shot.
That's right.
NA talent. NA can't be free forever, Dan.
I'm sure every scene in every other game industry will prove you otherwise. But ETC, if he makes playoffs, for example, he is safe from relegation. Therefore, 4 spots could open versus 3. It'll be interesting to see. Relegation, of course, always one of those bittersweet moments, as we mentioned. But it is interesting to see the new blood come in, because I love seeing contenders and challengers to the throne. Now, the early game here of this Druid versus Druid head-to-head has kind of been pretty straightforward, both players just ramping. But ETC does not have any more additional ramp here. He only had that 1 wild growth. So he's a little bit behind, but it's not all bad news, because if Nalguidan doesn't have anything super powerful to excel onto the board, he's actually giving targets for ETC's guardian animals to respond to.
Yeah.
Which might actually work in his benefit.
Yeah. I guess this would be a good time to note the beast spread. 1 teacher's pet, double thresher, double runner for ETC. And then for Nalguidan, he's playing the spell druid, so I assume he's running. No, he's not running everything. Okay, so he's running exactly the same exact beast spread. Both of them have a thresher in hand. So,
I wonder.
ETC running Kael'thas and double survival of the fittest. What a throwback to a couple weeks ago.
Right. But I mean, the guardian animals here is very powerful, and Nalguidan's actually been a vocal critic about guardian animals, kind of hoping that it would be hit by the upcoming nerf patch, because he felt like Druid specifically was a class that he struggled with.
Yeah.
And so Nalguidan probably not happy to see that. Does find an opportunity to use nature studies this turn with the Lake Thresher. Lake Thresher number 2 drawn. That's not great. So Nalguidan finds Germination, Swipe, and Strength in numbers here. Anything stand out to you, TJ?
Maybe Strength in numbers?
What to do?
It has like the highest upside. Because he can spend 10 mana on minions over the next 2 turns. It's just... if he pulls Ysera Unleashed, that could be giving up an important win condition, but the upside is he could pull a Twilight Runner, which can shore up like bad, like no cards on his hand. He pulls that exotic Mount Slayer and then off the top picks up like Overflow. Yeah, I like it. in a hero power and play a Leg Thresher this turn. Play a Leg Thresher next turn and see what happens.
Sure, you could pull out some really powerful stuff. Although there's there's a second broomstick in Nalguidan's deck.
Oh, there is a second broomstick, you're right. So it could just be a broomstick that's pulled out. All right, so he's got broomstick, double Twilight Runner, one Mount Seller,
TJ. No, we know exactly what's going to happen, DJ.
Teacher's Pet, and Ysera. So he's got 6 minions. Oh, and Ghidra, 7 minions. So it's a 1 and 7 to summon the second broomstick.
That's basically guaranteed.
It's basically guaranteed. You're absolutely right.
Wow. I mean, this is definitely the problem with the ramp hands. The fact that you have so much card draw, and also kind of, you know, to talk a little bit about the bigger picture. This is also why people start to cut things like Thresher from their decks, so they can have more support cards that can help bolster the ramp and make it really sing. You know, if you have like some of these minions that don't actually capitalize off the ramp significantly, and you're like basically doubling down on drawing guardian animals in overflow, and sometimes you don't get it.
Yeah. Oh, first broomstick for ETC just used to protect some health on his Teacher's Pet.
Oh no, TJ.
Oh, now it's a 1 and 6.
6.
All right. Twilight Runner, let's see, what is it? It's going to be, it's 100% the broomstick. It's the broomstick. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. All right, so Nalguidan tweeted, during or after the Swiss stage and said he felt like he couldn't play that much. It was tough for him to play much Hearthstone during the Swiss portion because he felt like he was getting, RNG'd out of a lot of games, reflected out of a lot of games. And I gave him some criticism for the comment, just because I don't like that sentiment. I feel like Nalguidan had parroted that previously in other seasons when he had poor performances. But if his games were going like this, maybe there was some merit to it.
Sure.
Just the fact that we knew it was going to be broomstick.
Yeah. I mean, we're not going to try to pretend like Hearthstone doesn't have variance in it. It's a card game, for crying out loud, let alone the other generation mechanics that have, really been part of Hearthstone's identity for quite some time now. I do understand both sides of it. Nalguidan, by the way, with this nature studies, can try again.
Okay, let's go again. No, you have to. You have, there's...
I mean, it actually is the correct pick, I think, here.
Yeah. It's the only thing that... I think it's the only thing that draws cards.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. It's the reason why is because I think his out actually is Ysera, and I don't think I want to pull Ysera from the deck. I think that would be the other side of it.
Yeah.
But if he pulls Mount Seller, he'd be in a good spot, right?
Yeah. Or Speaker Ghidra, right? That wouldn't be bad if he picks up a spell the turn that he
Fair enough.
Pulls it.
Fair enough. Okay, but maybe you're right.
He was burned by it once, so he doesn't want to be burned by it again.
Yeah, this looks like a pretty solid opportunity for ETC to set up a good overflow opportunity. Just draw cards while his opponent's kind of not doing anything. Jump ahead in the resource count.
Yep.
Finds Ysera for next turn. A dumpable card in the form of Ironbark. I mean, this is looking pretty good so far for ETC.
Yeah.
So I guess just to close that loop of discussion with what we just had, I totally understand where Nalguidan's coming from. There's a lot of variance, and there's sometimes swingy games, especially if you're kind of factoring in, the card generation stuff. But at the same time, you can't just say that you're getting unlucky 4 seasons in a row, because at that point, you can the fingers that you're pointing is actually pointing towards yourself. At that point, Yeah. Because there's also people who have been consistent 4 seasons in a row, like Eddie and Bloodyface, and other people in different regions. So it's one of those things where after a certain amount of time, perhaps the methodology should be questioned as well as the thing that the person's pointing at too.
Very true.
That being said, I love watching Nalguidan play. He's super like emotive. He cares a lot about Grandmasters. He's also historically one of the best players to come out of Latin America ever in Hearthstone. So it's always like a pleasure to watch him compete just off of his legacy. So I really do wish the best for him. That being said, he's kind of getting wrecked this game. He has the Ysera down, and the Dream Portals are in the deck, but he has no other card draw. So he's just hoping that he draws Dream Portals next turn.
Yeah, and you know, because he's had no card draw so far in the entire game, essentially, outside of that Twilight Runner. I guess both Twilight Runners. He's not very deep in his deck, which means the portals are less likely to He's less than a 50% chance to get a portal, get a single. So we'll see. And now ETC just matches it and says, my minions are bigger, I'm deeper into my deck, I'm way more likely to get Dream Portals. Have fun.
Whoa.
Oh, gets one portal.
That's a solid minion.
All right.
Whoa, Guardiana? Okay. It's all starting to turn around a little bit.
It's only a teacher's pet, I believe. Yeah, it's only a teacher's pet with the guardian animals, but it is +6/+6 on the speaker.
Yeah, I did wonder a little bit about DC's previous turn if he was considering Kael'thas at all, because he had the ability to, play Survival of the Fittest for basically free, even though it costs 1 now. And then he has Lightning Bloom to help charge it, but I think he needed that extra mana crystal because he was lacking like another really cheap spell. Yeah.
Nature speaks.
So, Speaker Gidra comes out, guarding the animals. He pulls out another card from his deck and still capitalizes on some powerful tempo.
I wonder if you just ignore this and just hit face and just stop. So that way your Speaker Gidra is protected from like a bog view. Yeah, I think you just leave it at this. Yeah, don't attack. Yeah, smart. Very smart.
Whew. Immediately drawing portals. I guess he has a lot fewer cards in his deck. He finds an Onyx Mage Scribe, which gives ETC the ability to get more cheap spells, potentially, if he plays Kael'thas. This has to be a Kael'thas turn. What other choices does he have? Speak of Gidra,
yeah,
I guess?
No, that's really good. I'm just saying, like, he could... These are going to be massive minions.
Yeah, one thing I am worried about is if he has enough time, because if he ends up doing something that involves card draw at all, like Dream Portals might mess that up. Oh, he's going to Overgrowth for the extra card because it gives you an excess mana. And he draws a Dream Portal. Oh no, the animation lags, DJ.
His Speaker Gidra can't be played, so he drew all the Dream Portals. Or he drew a full board of Dream Portals. Does that mean he dies?
No. He can Starfall.
He can Starfall. Yeah.
But this is what we're talking about, which was time. Time is an issue sometimes. With the animation length, it was a little bit close, but looks like he's okay, and there's no way Nalguidan's answering this with his current arsenal.
I know he had to go fast, but I feel like you just Starfall the Gidra there for 5 and trade over the Teacher's Pet. He would have been really heavily punished by Silverback Patriarch. He wouldn't have been able to kill the Gidra.
Right.
For all he knows that...
or maybe he saw it and we just saw the... No, maybe he saw it and then the animation cue just, like, didn't let us see that. Because as a spectator, you're just, like, a little bit behind.
No, because
either way,
he had to kill it before he attacked the Gidra. It was at 2 health. He Starfalled for 2.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Small thing. Very unlikely to punish him. But could happen. Because he wouldn't have died unless the Nature Study spell was Swipe or Savage Roar. Oh, he is very dead.
Yeah, super dead. I think he's just dead on board. 19, 20. Oh no, he's not dead on board. It was 26 damage on board. But either way, EGC has this. And that's going to do it for game number 1. Druid Mirror, which I think is super crucial, given that Nalguidan has Zoo Warlock in his lineup that most likely wanted to beat that Druid.
Yep.
Very big deal that this matchup went towards ETC's way. But, I mean, double survival of the fittest does end up helping you a lot in the Druid matchup if you're able to pull it off successfully with Kael'thas. And so ETC's deck choice here for the survival of the fittest with 2 copies in and Kael'thas, the throwback, ends up being a successful hit. And now that's a 1-0 lead, but that win felt like it was worth more than 1 win to me, TJ.
Yeah, no, I think your assessment is correct. Getting that win gives him a huge buffer moving forward. And it's not like he had like a super favorable matchup, because Nalguidan's deck is supposed to operate faster, but have like less of the spikes of survival of the fittest. ETC even has like Living Dragon Breath, which is a dead tech card in the matchup. So you'd assume that Nalguidan would just be able to win, but couldn't find it. Didn't find like the early ramp, no early draw, and big win on the board for ETC.
That's right. So ETC now has just his Mage and his Demon Hunter remaining. Both decks that I feel like are pretty solid. I think Demon Hunter's still a little bit underrated by people. It kind of went from being overrated in the beginning to now being underrated. I think people are like, it was like the hotness for 1 week, and then people realize how beatable it was, and now people are like, it's just not a really good deck. And it's like, whoa, hold on, it's still pretty competitive and has really good matchups, especially in the tournament meta. So I think bringing Demon Hunter is definitely one of those picks this week that's a little bit more left field, but I appreciate it.
Yeah, for sure. I still am not sold on Demon Hunter. I've said that many times. I feel like win condition is too narrow and too one-dimensional, but I do respect the bring, and it does have some good matchups across the board, and I like that kind of the innovative deck brings in Conquest.
Yep, precisely. So taking a look a little bit deeper, if there's any variations of those deck lists that might help tilt the things in his favor. It looks like his Demon Hunter deck list is a little bit lighter on stuff, but we'll talk a little bit more about it as we have to take our last break of the day. And when we come back, we're going to conclude day number 2 of week 4 here of Hearthstone Grandmasters.
Hearthstone Grandmasters is brought to you by T-Mobile. Switch today and rank up to America's largest 5G network. T-Mobile.
It sounds weird. I guess if I had to choose a Hearthstone card to ride on, I would choose Yogg-Saron, because things would be very interesting and I would like to see what would happen.
I would probably choose Ayasha because it's been really long and I think the art is very, very cool.
Well, I would choose the Deathwing because Deathwing is my favorite dragon in World of Warcraft.
I'd want to pick something, comfortable, so I'd go with like King Crush. Nice big dinosaur, so I can crush all the other things in the carousel.
Yeah. Oh, that's hard.
Oh my mum brings up lots of stories. I can. Oof.
I actually think I was like a very boring, kind of not doing much child.
What my family talks about that I was a kid, that I locked my brother in a room. I was a little taller, so I could get through the door, and I was like, brother, come here, come, and I just closed the door. It was pretty funny.
When I was younger, maybe 4 or 5, we used to go a lot to Lake District to visit my grandparents, and we would go out and would feed ducks. But I didn't really understand the different ducks, and the bigger ducks were geese, and I was pointing at them, going flamingo, flamingo. And my mum, whenever we see a duck or a geese, or whatever, she'll bring up the story of me thinking they were flamingos.
I always made up my own words when I talked Vietnamese with them, and it was like mixed German.
As a kid, I tried to climb everything, tried to climb the tree, and then there was like a big tree nearby, and it was like 25 meters tall, and I climbed up, and then I fell off the tree. But lucky me, I only broke my leg.
없어요.
오늘의 운세라는 그런 항목을 한 번씩 찾아봅니다. 그래서 예전에 우승했을 때 그 운세가 굉장히 좋게 나왔어서 그 뒤로는 계속 대회 때마다 보는 습관이 생긴 것 같아요.
자고 일어난 다음에 한참 뒤에 게임하면은 약간 지는. 근데 뭐 그런 게 있는 것 같아요. 그래서 그랜드마스터 전에 한 1시간 전에 일어나가지고 준비해요.
I don't have any superstition because when first time I come to BlizzCon in 2014 and I come to the temple for victory, but I lose layer. So after that, I didn't come to any temple anymore. Yeah.
Welcome back, everyone, to the home stretch here of day number 2, week 4 of Hearthstone Grandmasters. It's the kickoff week for round robin group stage, and we have Nalguidan and ETC battling out for their first matches here for the season's broadcast of the round robin stage. If you're just tuning in, ETC won the Druid Mirror with Survival Druid going at it head to head. ETC had like the greedier list, I would say, and it ends up paying off as he was able to get a lot of card draw resources and overwhelm Nalguidan with board presence. And now we turn to the Turtle Mage for game number 2 up against whatever Nalguidan has chosen.
Yeah, I wonder how much Nalguidan is prepped against Turtle Mage. Because I don't think it's a deck that you'd expect from too many people outside of a select few that you like absolutely know play it. And all of those players are in Division A. But the majority of players that brought Turtle Mage are in Division B. And you're looking at Nalguidan's opponents, ETC and Zalay. Do you really expect it to be Turtle Mage? Do you really prep against it that much? I would say no. So I'm curious, but he is going to be playing the Temple Mage. I do like the way his Temple Mage is teched with the Archmage Antonidas against some of the slower decks, including Turtle Mage. So if I had to give an edge to one of the Mage decks, I would give it to Nalguidan, but Turtle Mage can win against just about everything. The bigger question is, how much has ETC practiced the Turtle Mage himself? Because it's one of the hardest decks to pilot, I think, in the current metagame. It also takes an incredible amount of time to play even just a few practice games. And ETC, obviously, started his own construction company. As mentioned, he's very busy. I know how difficult it is to have 2 kids. So a lot of his time is already consumed by others. So how much practice has he actually put in the deck? We shall see.
All right, well, indeed, we shall see. It's going to be fun to see if ETC can really back up the hype behind this deck. It seemed to do well for other people in Europe this week. When I was able to kind of tune in and watch how everything was going, and it seems like maybe we're on to something that Turtle Mage is just a dominant tournament deck that can't really be stopped.
You don't pick the ones, see?
So it looks like ETC off to a okay start. Nalguidan has a pretty good hand, actually. If he can just have consistent card draw to back that up, and that's where this cram session is really powerful.
Oh yeah,
That's good.
2 mana draw 3. Sign me up.
It's good.
All right. Yeah, the Archmage Tinnitus is the big one. And so looking at a couple key things for ETC here. I mean, I feel like I've heard the same things every time we watch Turtle Mage, but he wants to avoid drawing the potions. He wants to get to the Tortolan turns as safely as possible. And in this matchup, I feel like he wants to keep a Blizzard in his deck. Just so we can cast it with Tortolan Pilgrim, because the biggest threat is Archmage Tinnitus. And also Mana Giants. Like, you put a Mana Giant on the board, just freezing it doesn't do much because it can threaten lethal. A Mana Giant can threaten lethal with Grom, because there's a good amount of 8-drops, but you get 2 chances, and there's not an absurd amount of 8-drops like there is 2-drops. Grom isn't Doomsayer. It can come out from Conjurer's Calling. So
yeah, that's a good point. I mean, sometimes we've seen those Conjurer's Calling be the difference maker. Sometimes even costing you the game if you're fired bad. And looks like he's going to go for that Mana Cyclone turn. And finds spells that honestly aren't super useful. I think Arcane Missiles is like probably the best one there, so you can deal direct damage. Blizzard doesn't actually do much in this matchup because you're freezing 1/1.
Nobody move. Yeah. No one gets hurt.
Meanwhile, ETC is just playing minions. This is a very complicated combo deck. But at its core, it's a deck that just loves to play stuff on curve. I've talked about it, it's more of a tempo deck than an actual tempo deck because it actually plays tempo minions.
Right.
Instead of like trying to amass these resources, tempo mage feels more like a combo deck. Backwards.
Yeah, very much so. I'm just kind of oohing at the fact that he's able to land it on all minions, and you can play this Mana Giant. Ooh.
Yeah. Ooh. Ooh.
Ooh.
Ah.
I mean, Mana Giant coming down for 3 is pretty good.
Yeah. Especially since it's going into turn 6. Not many ways for the Mana Giant to be answered in full by ETC's deck list.
Right.
It'd be something from Wandmaker, it'd be Firebrand plus cheap spell, which would have to be from Wandmaker because there really is no cheap spells in the deck. Yeah, so the Conjurer's Calling will be able to come out.
Yeah, this is generally not a good position to be in, though. So, how does ETC choose to go about this?
I didn't know ETC had a cat.
Yeah, but more importantly, what is that cat digging for, TJ?
There was something on 4, like that had pushed underneath the mantle.
Oh yeah. The ETC not allowed to ask cats for opinions on what is the optimal play. Right now, I think right now he's debating whether or not he can get away with not actually reacting to this Mana Giant. Like, if he plays Escape Mana Saber, he'll actually have the ability to play Tortolan Pilgrim next turn. And that actually might be somewhat important, given that he already has a Potion of Illusion drawn. The slower he takes to get up his engine, the harder it'll be. So it looks like he agrees, and he ends up playing this Escape Mana Saber.
Yeah. Still, even with the Escaped Mana Saber mana, there's still some turns where he needs to survive. That would take up all of his mana next turn. He would need to Potion of Illusion it, which means he has to take a full turn worth of damage, which that's 8 here, and whatever comes out from this Conjurer's Calling, I would assume that Nalguidan would hit base because he wants to pressure.
And then, yeah, I mean, that makes sense to me.
What to do?
Actually, kind of hard to decide between those two. I think disruption might be more impactful here, though.
Well, this does the same thing. It still delays it and still gives him 1 turn.
Right.
But ETC's fine to just develop into this and still has Tortolan Pilgrim set up. And now if this Escape Mana Saber gets to attack, then he's... What?
Does it,
What is it doing?
The cat?
It's distracting me. Are you not seeing it?
I am very much focused on the fact that Nalguidan is about to Conjurer's Calling his Mana Giant here.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. Whoa. Oh, whoa.
Okay, so Walking Fountain, but then... Actually, it ended up not being as great. Oh, no, he's got this. Arcane Missiles 3 to the Mana Saber.
Boom.
Easy.
You ping
He's not going to trade. Oh, okay, well, it hit the Cartoon Defender at least once. Okay, well, I was never hitting the Mana Saber, apparently.
Time runs out on me.
Well, I mean, a couple things to note. ETC, even if he plays Tortolan Pilgrim, he's still on a clock till he draws second potion. Also, he's drawn both his Blizzard, so the situation I mentioned earlier where ETC has to stick it off of a board to protect himself from Archmage Antonidas because he can't kill it from hand. Alright, still waiting. And I imagine Escape Mana Saber is going to sit here one more turn so that ETC can go for full combo. But second potion, be drawn.
That's right. Also, it's not like his Tortolan Pilgrim will be doing super impactful things because he's got Firebrand and Prison Observer. They're not like the Cartoon Defenders and the Boom Pistol Bullies. Ooh,
Smart.
Very smart.
ETC wants to play Tortolan Pilgrim next turn. But Nalguidan's saying nope. Now you have to kill this. Which he can't even do. Wait, now he can.
Well,
that's actually that's a massive draw. What the heck?
Yeah. Wait,
no, 'cause then he
doesn't have
dies.
enough mana. Yeah. Let's look at the deck list real quick if ETC has multiple copies of the Sunreaver War Mage. Does not.
No. So...
Oh, no, you do. You're supposed to play Sunreaver War Mage here. No, you don't. You're not. You can't potion it.
I mean, you could Sunriver War Mage, then attack with the Escape Mana Saber, then potion, and then Sunriver War Mage again. But you're not killing anything with the second Sunriver War Mage. So he can kill the Archmage Antonidas, but he can't kill the Arcane Devourer. So he has to leave Archmage Antonidas up, and he has to kill Nalguidan in 2 turns.
Yeah. I think Nalguidan may have figured out something to help him here. To maybe win a matchup that is really crucial, but also... I mean, Turtle Mage just has one of the highest win rate decks in all of Americas. Now he's got him on a legitimate 2-turn clock. He has to be careful not to somehow die, though, right? Because there's a possibility that happens.
Yeah, so you Fireball, and Ray of Frost the Tortolan Pilgrim. Yeah. You probably Ray of Frost the 1/1 Tortolan Pilgrim, so that way he has to trade in his 5/5, so there's less power on board.
That makes sense to me.
Because he wouldn't have board space. I guess it doesn't matter. This actually blocks the most damage, so... Actually, yeah. If he doesn't freeze this one, then he might have enough damage if he has Sunriver War Mage. I know he did. He doesn't have enough mana or board space for that. Whatever, it doesn't matter.
Well,
set him
we'll
up for
see.
2-turn. Yeah, that's it. He needs 5 Sunreaver War Mages, which he doesn't have mana for because the first one costs 5.
Well, he gets mana back from the Mana Saber.
Yeah, but he would still need to be he would need a lot more mana than 11. Because he needs to play 5 Sunreaver War Mages. Which is 10 mana. Or it's 9 mana. And he wouldn't have enough Tortolans to cast it in a row, right?
I believe so.
And he actually needs 6 because he has to trade in minions off the board. Or else he doesn't have board space to cast 5 Sunreaver War Mages. Unless he sees something here that I don't think it's possible.
I don't think so. He took so long to get this combo up, and it looks like he's just going to die. So, with this, looks like game number 1 ends up going to Nalguidan. Or game number 2, rather. Just not enough time, not enough mana. And the Mage deck gets through, which is huge. And it's also kind of nice to kind of stick at the Turtle Mage a little bit. Like, you know, stops the interaction with the board freezes, but able to have direct damage from hand. And, you know, some of the tech cards that he's choosing by playing Archmage Antonidas end up playing off.
Yeah. That was... I love the Archmage Antonidas just because I feel like it helps in so many matchups. And it's not too much of a detriment to put it in a deck, even if it's a matchup that you're not going to play. And it helps like so much. You lose a couple percentage points against some of the faster matchups, but you gain like 10+ percentage points in some of the slower matchups. So do like it. And Mage getting a win is a big deal because I feel like ETC's lineup is actually good against Mage across the board. He's got the Soul Demon Hunter, which is great against Mage. Even Druid, which he took a win with, is good. So in that way, nicely done. So ETC is going to turn to Soul Demon Hunter. It'll be against either Druid or Warlock from Nalguidan. The Spell Druid or Zoo Warlock.
Yeah, this is another important matchup. As Zoo Warlock does have some direct damage. But, I mean, they really need to get things rolling early. And we've seen some people kind of struggle with that. But ETC, actually, fun fact for this season is that he's 1-7 with Demon Hunter in general, which is not a very good win rate, if you ask me. It's 13%, not great. So we'll see if he's able to actually get that win because it could get worse before it gets better.
Yeah, he's playing an interesting version of the Demon Hunter. 1 Spectral Sight, 1 I-Beam, double Vulpir Scoundrel, and he's still playing Magtheridon, which has largely been cut for most players' Soul Demon Hunters list. It is a little slow, requires a very specific interaction. And I think there was a player in Europe, Oblize, actually brought it to. A very similar lineup to ETC, too. He has Temple Mage, he has double Survival Druid with Kel'Thas, and the Soul Demon Hunter with Magtheridon. I doubt Blyze and ETC practice together, though. That'd be weird.
Does seem like 2 different worlds colliding, but what's cool about it is Hearthstone brings everybody together
brother,
to do something like that. All right, here we go. Game number 3. Oh, I thought he was playing. The Demon Hunter. Oh, he is. Never mind. I don't know why I'm being an idiot. Yeah. Okay, misread everything. Marrow Slicer does end up being one of the more valuable cards, I think, against Druid, so that's definitely a keep. Ends up keeping Spellcare Scoundrel and Spirit Jailer as well. I guess he just wants that curve?
Yeah, sure. Well, Pierce Scoundrel I actually like because it gives you flexibility. The Demon Hunter deck's kind of weird where, like, there's only a couple, especially the way he's constructed his list, there's like a couple good keeps. Spirit Jailer, obviously, and like Aldraki Warblades, surprisingly enough, has a pretty high win rate, just because it guarantees that you'll have it for the healing over the course of the game. Well, Pure Scoundrel's up there when you're considering these types of lists.
Well, not fast enough as ETC hero powering and passing on turn 2 and giving an opportunity for Nalguidan to ramp up, but he has no wild growth. He has overgrowth ready to go, though. Could end up trying to take out the Spirit Jailer, but it's only a 1/3, so it does feel tempting to want to hold on to his Crystal Power for something better.
He's thinking about whether or not to Crystal Power this and Hero Power. The question becomes, like, how much damage do I take from this if I don't Crystal Power it this turn? I would Overgrowth next turn, so I would take another one. And then if I pick up Overflow, then I would Overflow. I don't know. The Crystal Power? Because Crystal Power actually has a lot of value in this matchup. Because Demon Hunter will race you at some point. And sometimes at 5 healing is the difference between you dying and you living. That was actually a big decision point, and I want to keep track of that as the game progresses. Like, how much damage would that Spirit Jailer have dealt versus the 5 burst healing that he would have gotten later on?
Yeah,
having both Threshers in hand may have affected that, because it means that if he does pick up Guardian Animals, no Thresher comes out, which means he doesn't have a target to, I call it bouncing, to bounce off of for the damage, to like Thresher damage to swipe off of. So like killing it actually has more merit in that case, but a very small decision that could have ripples of consequences.
Ooh, there's an image. But yeah, no, I think we're gonna be keep counting. So that's 1 damage that would have dealt.
Oh jeez, I regret
more ramp
saying that we should keep track,
because it's really not gonna.
Let's just forget about it, and then later on in the game when when ETC is like 2 damage over lethal, and say I should have kept the Crystal Power. Be super results oriented.
That kind of
like
would.
I normally like
yeah,
to be.
I mean that would kind of. Well, I mean that's the whole point, though, right? Like you use results to help draw your early conclusions, and then you can kind of use some of the theory to match it up. So ETC would have dealt 1 extra damage right now. So Crystal Power was +1 health at the moment.
Okay.
I think that's about as much health as he's going to get, though.
Oh, and again, a tough decision. One with what choice he goes. Ironbark usually just straight up better than Mark of the Wild.
Right. Ooh, the greed. Okay, TJ. Spirit Jailer would have dealt 2 damage. It's also a little bit there's some other things too, right? We're not being fair. Like hand space for overflow is something to consider as well.
Yeah.
But alas.
What? You said it right when I said it.
Doesn't get the discount of the Spirit Jailer though. Instead has the Soul Fragment. And now Nalguidan can double 5 here, or play as Ysera, actually, now that I think about it.
My dream is
and is this enough to put counter pressure on ETC to make him feel under the gun, or is ETC still big chillin'?
Well, he has a Consume Magic, but there's a Sex where the second Ironbark comes in. But Consume Magic's actually not in his deck. It was actually taken from the Vulpir Scoundrel, I believe. Or Wandming. But either way, he can get through this, and he has a ton of damage. It's just that he's kind of on a clock now.
Blur?
All right, funny. So the Crystal Power that he used is now at 2 health. He gained 2 health with it.
Right.
It'll be 3 health after this turn.
Well, assuming he finds a way to kill. Mystery choice into Fell Guardians.
Assuming he silences it. Oh, what? Right. Whoa, okay. That's an interesting choice. All right, so now Crystal Power is at +3. He would have attacked base here with it.
All right, well, Nalguidan immediately draws a portal. I don't know how he does it. Seems like he immediately draws a portal guaranteed next turn after he plays with Sarah. finds nature studies so he can go ahead and find other forms of card draw. Finds Overgrowth, Moonfire, and Lightning Bloom. Not the best stuff.
That'd be Overgrowth.
Yeah, it looks like Overgrowth to me.
And a Light Thresher.
Well, I found more card draw.
Yeah.
Not the best. The Mystic here seems to be something that I'm eyeing immediately, and then he can use some of his other removal. I think basically he could be on the control plan. He's very close to killing the Druid too, if he can just kind of get some of his damage cards out. Right, because he has Mystic. Sorry, he's got the Lapidary. Got the Twin Slices. It's a lot of damage. No Blade Dance though.
And Dan, our imaginary soul jailer just died. Spirit jailer.
There you go. So
+3 health.
Not reasonable. Reasonable, TJ. Not amazing. Not
Mistake.
awful.
Even floated 1 mana last turn. Would have been perfect.
It's true. I mean, if he does end up dying by like 1 or 2 overkill, then yeah, it would have actually mattered. Question is, will it matter though?
Oh, you know, it would have been perfect here.
Yeah, it would have been super perfect here. Oh my god. That's brutal.
Also, actually would have... Nah, I would have died last minute. Trying to go all in on this plan. Alright, so he has 5, 6, 7, plus 4, 11, 12 damage he could deal... No, that's just 11 damage he can deal.
Pretty close, but the problem is the taunts that might come his way. Oh my gosh.
Oh.
What?
Plus Chaos
Was
Strike,
that?
plus Twin Slice, Second Slice, and Blade Dance. It's a full clear, and he pushes almost lethal damage.
Oh my gosh, that is nuts.
Disgusting.
I mean, that's game ending. Nalguidan looks like he is basically out of options here.
Dream Portals.
You think this is your time? It is
New taunts.
Life and hope are worth fighting for.
Big Dragons. Big
Broomstick.
Dragons Brush. But yeah, that's gonna do it here. There's nothing for Nalguidan to do. He is dead. He doesn't know he's dead, but he has a pretty strong idea that he is dead. Because he knows about the Second Slice, but doesn't know about the Lapidary. Yes.
What if Nalguidan was at 12 at the end of this turn? No, he'd only been at +3. Didn't matter.
Right.
He'd be at 10. And he'd still die.
It wouldn't matter, yeah.
Would not matter at all. So it turns out...
Maybe the extra minion from the exotic mount seller.
With the exotic mount seller.
Yeah.
Okay, I can buy it. Maybe. Doubtful. Very
doubtful.
Very unlikely to have mattered. But you know what, Dan? That exercise that we just did of taking a somewhat arbitrary early game decision, breaking it down, and then tracking it to a conclusion at the very end of the game is fun. It's a fun exercise every once in a while.
That's right. Casting Hearthstone is fun sometimes, you know, TJ.
No, that specific thing. Like, it's rare that we take what we scrutinize one somewhat arbitrary early game decision, and then only track that as the game goes on. Well, I guess I'm just speaking for myself. That's all I did.
Fair enough.
You did a great job at breaking down all the rest of the stuff and actually casting the game, but
appreciate you, buddy. Well, as we near the conclusion of today, we have Nalguidan Zoo Warlock coming up next to try to challenge the Turtle Mage. And this Zoo Warlock is pretty standard here. 1 Penflinger, 1 Soul Shear, Canrethed Ebonlock. as well as an animated broomstick. But everything else is just kind of 2 of, so very nice and neat. But for the Turtle Mage, we'll see if whether or not it can hold off the aggression. I feel like this is definitely one of the better decks it can match up against, though, because board aggro is a lot easier to manage than those aggro decks that have burn from hand.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. Turtle Mage still has he's got a lot of tempo mages. He's playing the Bone Wraith Escape Mana Saber version. But a lot of tempo tools still in the deck. But it does have some failure rates once you get to like the later stages of the game. If you weren't able to stay up on tempo, which I'm going to be kind of looking out for those things. Best card in the deck against these fast matchups is Imprisoned Observer. So good, in fact, that I think you hard mulligan for it. It's just insane how good that card is.
Agreed. It's super powerful if you can draw it.
If you can draw it, yeah. Bone Wraith, I guess, could also be good against the Warlock specifically, but not good enough to mull for it. Oh my gosh!
Wow.
That's a keep. Dan, I'm keeping all of it.
That's a full keep. Insta keep.
Insta.
Lock it in. ETC knows what he's up to. Nalguidan. Honestly, his hand's not bad either. It throws away everything. I was thinking the Cold Neophyte might actually not be that bad.
Cold Neophyte almost does nothing against this deck. They play Frost Nova, Potion, and Blizzard. Those are the only spells they play in the deck.
Oh, I just want a 3-2 on 2.
Well, you have a 3-2 on 1, Dan.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
I'd rather have that one.
That's fair. I just want maximum damage and pressure against the mage. Is kind of I guess where my head was at. But yeah, you're right. Like, it doesn't...
is wishful thinking. If you're like, I'm gonna nail this Flame Imp. If you're like, I'm gonna nail Flame Imp and nail Dark Glare, then boom, I'm keeping the Cold Neophyte, so I have a beautiful curve.
Fair enough.
But Nalguidan's not a. I'll take a reasonable curve. He says, I want nuts.
Maybe that's
he didn't
the
find
position
it.
that he feels.
You gotta respect him for searching for it.
And then the Lord Keeper. Okay, now Nalguidan has to go deep in the tank to kind of figure out if he can find a way. Strike back in time. He has a small window before the Imprisoned Observer awakens. Deals 2 to everything.
Okay. Played the 3-2 over the 2-1-3s. More power, but weaker to the Imprisoned Observer that you know is emerging soon. Also have to count for which minions do you want to curate Raise Dead for. And I guess Cold Neophyte would fit in there because it could help him dodge a Blizzard. Like when it starts to get to those crucial turns. Flesh Giant already at 5. And gonna continue to.
If power is what you seek.
Wow, that's an early full Celt. Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of aggressive. But it's also the best minion he has.
I mean, a Prism Observer is also a 4/5 that
Fair enough,
deals
but
AoE damage on a delay, and you really like he's saying, all right, my hand's good enough to fight against Zoo for 3 turns because he's drawing Tortollan Pilgrim into Tortollan Pilgrim. He effectively has 2 dead draws against Zoo Warlock that he chose to do.
Interesting.
Dan, he's gonna die.
Yeah, when you put it like that, TJ, it's kind of hard to argue with it. And these Flesh Giants coming out early is also really problematic. So I think you fully convinced me. I don't think Lord Keeper Pocket was the play last turn.
Forbidden rituals, you say?
Oh, jeez. And then it's just looking so powerful with this double giant. Nalguidan navigated this really well. Well, I mean, usually you're good against board aggro, but this is a little bit too much.
Yeah. Like his only out there would have been Frost Nova, which is just impossible because he full kilted, so he's guaranteed Tortola Pilgrim.
Right.
Could have also got like Wand Maker into double Ray of Frost.
Wait. Does it line up okay though? Because Tortilla and Pilgrim gets drawn next turn. Oh, we can't play Blizzard. Oh, the Cult Neophyte.
Yeah.
TJ.
Yep. He just has infinite mana. He can't even play all this stuff because he has too much mana.
Yeah.
And he found Soulfire, which is lethal.
Wow. All right. Game number 4, super quick from Nalguidan. It looked like a really promising hand from ETC. I'm actually kind of floored by how awful that went for the Mage. But do you kind of chalk it up to the technical decision to play Polkit, or do you think Nalguidan just had the unstoppable hand?
Nalguidan did have a pretty unstoppable hand, but I also thought ETC's hand was good. But he by playing the Polk out, he did throw away like one of the only outs he had. And even if Nalguidan doesn't go off that turn, I still think that's a way too early of a Polk out, because you could play Polk out all the way up to turn 7 and then guarantee, like he had his other 6s. So he's only playing Polk out for the body and to draw Tortolan Pilgrim. Imprisoned Observer has the same body, it's just delayed, but you love that AoE. It's good for you. And Tortolan, you can still play it as as late as 7 and be fine to guarantee your Tortolans. So, like, if Nalguidan's turn's weaker there, if we can imagine that, I still think the Imprisoned Observer is better. And then, maybe you followed that up with Full Kilt. And you get to see one more draw, and then you still get to play Blizzard on 6, Cartoon on 7, Tortolan on 8. So, I do think that was a little bit of an oversight from ETC. But gotta forget about that one. Moving on to the decider game here, game number 5. It will be the Turtle Mage for ETC once again. Both his losses in the series have been with that deck thus far. Versus Nalguidan with the Spell Druid.
That's right. That brings us to our final game of this day, no matter what ends up happening.
I will crush your delusions of
All right.
grandeur.
Tempo Mage. Just a curve. Just 2, 3, 4.
That's pretty solid against the Druid, right?
It is.
Like, just kind of racks up the pressure, and they have to spend their cards removing. They don't get like the comfort of being able to ramp very easily with space to breathe.
Yeah. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Play the big one. That's not the big one.
Yeah, that's the slightly smaller one. It's the scuffed one, TJ.
Yeah. I mean, sure, you can hold on to Firebrand to try and nail a Twilight Runner on an empty board, but he doesn't have Wand Maker in hand. And that's the only way you can get a cheap spell with the deck.
It's true.
Wand Thief is another one, but he doesn't have any of those. So, very unlikely to matter. But there's also the part about how sometimes Earthen Ring Farseer is just necessary to weave into your combo.
Right.
For the healing.
He's given up one of his healing options. I guess he feels more confident because he has Cartoon Defender.
Yeah.
Nalguidan has the option of using the Broom here to go for a full clear.
I think he
can use. Yeah.
Just means that he goes in the next turn with only 6 mana and can't overflow. But he goes in the next turn with more board presence and can just play the Twilight Runner.
Part of the reason why I think he's incentivized to is because he's overloaded. So
no, you're right.
You're
right. I couldn't see the mana crystals. I had forgotten he played at a glance the Lightning Bloom that turn. So no, you're absolutely right. Yeah.
He's also protecting his Twilight Runner by doing so. Wow.
Yeah. So the Sunriver War Mage, not a crucial part of the win condition in this matchup. Because the Druid draws so aggressively, you don't need to kill them. They will fatigue. You don't actually have to deal the 4 damage, because usually they're not putting on a clock. They have no damage from hand. They have nothing that can swap decks like Mindrender or Lucia. You just have to keep freezing their stuff over and over again. and fatigue him.
It's really smart.
So it's fine to just play the War Mage. It's not giving up your win condition. Oh my gosh, Slayer Prime, that's so early.
It died 2 turns ago.
Yeah, it's not often that you draw Solarian Prime before you can even play it.
Yeah, that's super early. But now ETC getting to that point where he's kind of going to struggle against some of the pressure that comes from the Druid here. Unless he finds a way to stall it or completely abate it through his Solarian Prime.
All right. Here we go.
Here we go.
Load him up. Counterspell. Nice. Conjure's calling. Yeah.
One of those instances where maybe you're like wishing that it actually did target your friendly minions. Wow, Arcane Missile's missing the Dalaran Crusader.
That was aggressively mediocre.
Yes. Very on brand for the Americas.
Truer words have never been spoken. Well, the counterspell worked out, right? What else can Nalguidan do here? He's got Lightning Plume. He can get out Ysera Unleash here if he wants to. What's the most amount of pressure he can apply? Probably that, but actually like Speaker Gidra plus 5-drop and double trade seems like a lot of pressure just because of the Wind Fury.
Yeah, I might be able to pick up a spell to use for Gidra.
Savage Roar. With the Savage Roar pickup, now I actually really want to play Speaker Gidra in a 5-drop.
I like that.
My dream.
Ysera? Okay, that also works. He just doesn't have the card draw right now. I guess what I'm thinking is that why try to invest in your board in the future when you can invest in your board now?
Yeah.
And threaten Savage Roar, because we're going to get to that point where he's going to freeze your board.
Yeah, I wanted to have the opportunity to set up a lethal, which is what the Speaker Gidra plus 5-drop did. Whereas Nalguidan set up a... Well, it is 8, 13, plus 8. No, it's not lethal. Yeah, he doesn't have a natural Savage Roar in his deck. Opted not to play it. Many of the spell druids this weekend do play 1 copy.
Yeah, I like the Savage Roar deck lists. I think it gives, pun intended, it gives actual bite to the Druid deck.
Yep. All right.
So
ETC so far away from being able to do like all the fun Turtle Mage things. He doesn't have Tortolan Pilgrim. Just has the stalled now. Doesn't have a way to guarantee it. Had no Sphere Sapience, no Lord Keeper Polkelt, no Tortolan Pilgrim. So he's just basically playing a not optimal control mage deck list for the time being.
Sure, that sounds really unfortunate. Firebrand could potentially help clean this up though with Combustion.
Yeah. Snipes off this 5-2. Oh, nice. Got it.
Nalguidan is overloaded. So slightly uncomfortable situation here. Oh, he's gonna go for the Gidra here. Okay.
That's his last source of card draw though.
Right. Yeah, that's the one thing I'm not sure about, but it does set up a pretty powerful board. The thing about the Ysera play too is that he was overloaded because he ended up committing to the Lightning Bloom, and therefore he wouldn't be able to play Ysera this turn. So that's why he wanted to do it last turn. That makes sense.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And actually, this does set up a 2-turn lethal. Exact. Speaker Gidra would deal 14, Ysera 6, and Hero 2. So he's exactly... Well, he has 23 damage from hand with Savage Roar. No taunt from Jandis. Okay, he is going to Frost Nova. I was like, if he gets greedy and Conjurer's Callings this Jandis, then he would die. All right.
Oh my gosh, double portal.
That's an 8-8. You like to see those. Another one. Another 8-8. Love to see him.
Wow. I mean, sort of. They're actually kind of restricting his board space a little bit here. I guess it doesn't really matter because it doesn't have anything that rushes or charges anyways.
He's got Broomstick. He's only used one. So maybe you keep one board space open for Broomstick?
Overflow here?
No,
I feel like that might be accelerating the fatigue plan too much.
Yeah. I might not even do anything here. I guess Teacher Spit makes sense to not take this damage.
Whew. We're also getting to the point where ETC might have the inverse problem that a lot of other Turtle Mage has, which he's drawn 2 Frost Novas and a Blizzard.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
you draw,
his opportunity here is to be aggressive.
Right, so you can ping this, trade, hopefully no taunt comes out. Okay, a minion that never comes out of that Teacher's Pit just came out. Corner TJ.
Yep.
And Frost Nova. Wow, and he actually has a 2-turn lethal potentially set up because he can ping the Gubarashi Berserker again. And Nalguidan has to heal.
And waste his Dream Portals and fill up his board space. And then ETC Blizzards and pushes. This all goes back to the Speaker Get Your play, Dan.
Does it, though?
I don't know. It would have forced a freeze.
It's fair.
Which means he wouldn't have been in this position.
Does find a Crystal Power to help stay alive. Also, healing the Gubarashi Berserker is not ideal.
No.
Not to mention that ETC still could just draw Tortolan Pilgrim and make Nalguidan's life hell.
Yeah.
But, I mean, this is as strong as it gets for his board. Cartoon Defender. I mean, he's anticipating another Blizzard here. He's anticipating a lot. He actually wants to trade off of his minions. Oh, no, he wants to pop the Hydra to make sure there's no 4/4. It's a good move. And Nalguidan is locked out. Portal can't save him. Any draw off the top of his deck could potentially do anything? I don't think so. All the portals are going away.
I'm almost out of cards.
Oh, I know his last card in his deck. What is it?
I'm out of cards.
Nature Studies.
Crystal Power?
Nah. 22 damage on board. I mean,
I don't see it.
He needs to be at 23 health.
Wait, what if he shoots his own minion? No, I can't do that.
And then
There's not enough board space.
Broomsticks and attacks the Gurabashi Berserker and dies faster? Yeah, not quite there.
I mean, that was kind of the issue of not being able to attack or have too much board space, right?
Yeah.
Oh no, Nalguidan was really close to make this comeback, but it looks like ETC's Turtle Mage is just going to get there by playing a freeze tempo style. And sometimes that's how the deck gets the win. Really well done. Oh my goodness. Just for extra safety, he had the Tortolan Pilgrim anyways. So that's going to do it. ETC's Turtle Mage gets the win, and he gets his first win in round robin stage as the family man, ETC, starts off his stage 2 campaign on the right foot. Well done.
Yeah, nicely done. Like how he played that last one. And, you know, the Ysera Unleash for Nalguidan ended up being a liability. Kept filling up his board. Like Broomstick draw, you know, could change things at the end if his board's not full. So those are things you have to think about. You have to think down the line. Like, you know, planning for long-term board state doesn't matter if that long-term board state is just your board getting frozen over and over again. Because it's either Tortollan Pilgrim there or multiple freezes, and both of those things you don't want a full board space because you're just going to die faster. Tough matchup though, very tough matchup, and ETC kind of showing that in full force how he can win just by playing minions and freezing him, and that's it. Didn't even need his combo at the end of the day. So nice little win for him. Joins the 1-0 club in Division B with Briarthorn and Panizzato.
Yeah, quite an interesting set of results so far, but we have one more set of players who will be joining us tomorrow, Rami and Frozen, to get their first matches of the week. And then from there, we'll play out the rest of the matches that will have 2 games for most of these players at the end of it. Muzzy kind of sitting pretty at 2-0 undefeated in Group A. And we'll see Eddie and Monsanto appear tomorrow to see if they can continue that. Meanwhile, Language Hacker, the first to join the 0-2 club in the Americas. Not a great club to be in. Definitely looking like Language Hacker is feeling shaky a little bit. I read some of his Twitter comments as well. Seems like he doesn't feel like he's in a really good spot right now. And it's hard to blame him after watching how those games panned out. So that brings us to the conclusion of today. TJ, any final thoughts you want to say before we sign off?
Only that I'm excited to see tomorrow. I get to see Rami play at the end of the day for the first time in Grandmasters. If anything, tune in just for that because he's excited and he wants people to tune into his matches. So should be fun.
That's right.
It'll be fun Sunday.
It's going to be fun. And if you want to go back and watch some of these other fun games, you can always check out the VODs here at youtube.com/Hearthstone Esports. Or if you want to check out deck lists and everything else regarding rules and format, or even the upcoming Masters Tour next weekend, which is going to be a blast, go to playhearthstone.com/esports. That's it from us. So for Frodan and TJ Sanders and everybody part of the Grandmasters program, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time for more Hearthstone action.
Hearthstone Grandmasters is brought to you by T-Mobile. Switch today and rank up to America's largest 5G network. T-Mobile,